when I heard just personally, I was like, Zach, who?
I was like, why? Why the fuck?
Yeah, literally. I think everybody's kind of the same way.
You had no idea that I'd be the youngest coach in the history of VHSL lead a team to a state final.
Yeah. Never.
Do it while we're wearing masks in a global pandemic.
It's literally. All right, welcome back to another episode of Entirely NBA, hosted by Entirely Media. I'm your co-host, Kyle Murph.
I'm your host, Darion Robinson, and today we got something a little different and a little bit more special because this hits home for us. John Handley coach, Zach Harrell-Zook. What's going on, Zach? How you been?
I've been good, man. Appreciate you guys having me in here. Appreciate the tribute video earlier in the season, man. It was a special moment for our program. Anytime we can get, alumni together and get us all together and, support these guys is awesome stuff.
I started talking to Kyle about that around end of August. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I think, what we're doing is special. And I think that too, we made a lot of good connections, and Handley, like I said to you before, treated us right when we came through. So everyone that was there prior, even the culture, was a big thing for us. And if we could give back even in a small way, I said, why not? Let's go ahead and jump right into it, Zach. So you've had quite the diverse coaching journey from Roanoke College to Salem High School, and then taking the John Handley varsity team lead as head coach. Walk us through just your career path and what made you get into coaching.
Yeah, so I think everything starts from my playing career. As everyone knows, I played at Millbrook and was player of the year in 2015. Thought we underachieved as a team. We had the second best record in school history. We ended up finishing 20-4. Lost to Charlottesville a game before the state tournament that year, but I went on to play at Roanoke College the very next year, and I committed to play for our coach, Paige Moyer. And Paige was recruiting guys to play at a system where, we were going to hunt and value uncontested open threes and, try to score a lot of points. And, defense was important, but not as emphasized as other programs, so it really fit my skill set as a player. It's funny now, I can coach the heck out of defense, but couldn't play it as good as I could coach it now. But it was just a perfect system and fit for me. It was 2.5 hours from home, right down 81. Family could still come to games. It was in a conference that I was familiar with the ODAC, because Shenandoah plays in it. So it was a great fit for me. Had a highly successful year that year. We led the nation in scoring, close to 108 points per game. We set the NCAA record for most points ever in an NCAA game that we actually lost, 164 to 156 against Lynchburg, which is a crazy game.
How do you set the record most points but still lose the game?
That was a crazy game. That system we played in college worked well if you would win the battle of three, in the sense of you're making uncontested threes, you're forcing contested threes, and they're missing, you're making, but they were making them too. In that game, they were making them at a higher level than we were, and so.
Gotcha.
And it ended up going into triple overtime, and so that's going to bump your score up a little bit. Okay. But long story short, I was committed to play for a great coach, a great man, perfect system, beautiful school. They were just opening a new $60 million athletic center, which, if anyone's ever seen Roanoke's gym, it's it's nicer than some Division I facilities. Yeah. It's really nice. And so at the end of that year, my coach actually announced to us that he was going to retire, which was a big shock to all of us, because Paige was probably responsible for, reeling in close to $15 million of that $60 million to build the stadium, to build the new Krager Center and stuff. So, we all, we were growing and we were building, and we were ranked that year, and but coach resigned, and it was a big shock to us all. But so a lot of the guys in my class kind of left, but I stayed and fought through. I played for the next coach, which was kind of a blessing in disguise, because I got to play for two totally different coaches and two totally different styles of play, which really showed me that, hey, you can have success with, either style, and everyone has a different coaching style. And it was October of that year where we were in the preseason, and I tore my patella. So I'm a sophomore at the time, tore my patella tendon, and I've always had the worst case of Osgood sliders in my left knee. So it was patella underneath of Osgood. It was terrible. So I had a decision to make at that point. Hey, I'm paying to go to school, right? Because it's Division III. And at that point in time, my coach kind of calls me in and says, hey, like, why don't you just come on staff? Like, these guys respect you. They respect your knowledge. They respect your IQ. They respect your leadership. I can't really do this for a lot of players because, it might, pose challenges to, leadership and different things like that. But so he brought me on, and my whole responsibility was like baseline out of bounds plays. So I would scout the opponent's baseline out of bounds plays. I would recommend how we're going to guard it, what we're going to take away. And he, I really got to see at that point in time, like by working with my coach, how much time, energy, and effort really goes into it. Like I gained a whole new level of respect for my coach because I realized like he doesn't sleep, he doesn't go home. Like all the details that he's hammering us about are the details he's spending all that time to figure out. Like it just really showed me what all goes into winning. And that's one of the things that I've really tried to be at Handley ever since I've got there, is just be extremely detail-oriented and get guys to understand how important the details are and everything. And every single play matters. Every minute of the game matters. And so after I tore my patella, Coach brought me on staff there. So I kind of spent basically my whole sophomore year of college as an assistant coach at the college level, which was unbelievable experience. And then it was at that point where Coach called me at the end of the season and was like, hey, like, so what do you want to do? He said, so you've got to ask yourself, do you want to get into college coaching or do you want to coach in high school? I said, I hadn't really thought about coaching like that before, and he said, well, you have a gift, and I think that this is something that you should look at doing. And I said, okay. I was like, well, then what's the biggest difference in high school and, in college? And he said, well, in college, you're going to be able to recruit to how you want to play the game. And then in high school, you're going to, have to play the game based on the hand you're dealt.
What you're given, yeah.
And I said, well, the latter sounds more fun and more challenging, and also just, knowing I was getting ready to come back home. My dad had just been diagnosed with cancer at the time. Like it was, the high school level was way more appealing for me at that point in time. And so that's when I decided to go coach at Salem High School. So Salem High School is like a mile from Roanoke College where I went to school. So I spent my last year there as a varsity assistant at Salem High School coaching with Kevin Garst. So I got to, learn from college coaches my first year coaching the college system. Then my second year, I got to go coach with a coach that won a state championship. So he actually won a state championship in 2013 when I was a sophomore at Millbrook. So that year we went to the state quarterfinals and we lost to Grafton High School. When we had RJ Culbreth as our point guard. We were basically 10 seniors and me as a sophomore was pretty much our team. And Salem actually won it that year. So hey, I get to go coach and assist a head coach that's won a state title. Like this would be an amazing experience. So that was awesome for me. And I remember it was Garst that told me at the time, like, we went like 7-16 that year. Like we didn't win a lot of games, but like to win those 7, I mean, it took everything we had. So Salem had a big shift in like their basketball level of pool and talent, where like when he won a state title, they had a lot of football guys play basketball. And they've slowly shifted over time where like those football guys just play football. And so his pool of talent has kind of diminished a little bit in that sense. They've become more sports specific at Salem. But one of the things the coach told me was like, hey, like you really helped individually change our culture. And I didn't realize what I was doing at the time. I was just, I always say like, hey, you can only coach what you know and what you've been taught. And so I was just doing the things that I've been taught. So fortunately for me, I've had great coaches along the way. Coach Mankins at Millbrook, my college coaches, like I've had great coaches along the way, and, being able to carry over the values that they taught me into the sport. But the thing that got me was Kevin said, hey, I think you're going to be a head coach before you're 25. And I was like, that's fast. That's a heck of a compliment, and obviously that's something I wanted to do. I still felt like I was in the learning phase, but so it was time for me to go home after that. So I graduated college in 3 years. So that was the big decision I had to make was, hey, I'm no longer playing, so I'm no longer going to keep spending this money. So I put all my effort into graduating in 3 years, which was really hard to do, but I finished this double major, graduated in 3 years. got out of there just under 60,000 owed. So it was great to get out of there in 3, and then came back home, and that was when my dad's cancer really started to, like, it was getting tough. So I made the decision. I was still waiting on security clearance for my work. So I took the JV job at Janesville High School. And the way that was perfect for me was I had a lot of flexibility with that in terms of what time I could practice. So we would practice at like 6 to 8 in the evening. And so I would basically be there with my dad for the entire day. And then once my mom got home, somebody would be there, and then boom, I could go to practice. So, and man, that was, I think we won like 3 games. I couldn't tell you, 3 or 4. But man, those kids still talk to me to this day. I just have such a great relationship with those guys, and I think, like I said, we went maybe 4-16 at the JV level, but like that's still to this day some of the most fun I've had coaching, because it was just everything that was going on in life that was like a true full-blown escape for me at the time. And those guys were, they weren't the most talented, but they were so open and receptive to being coaching and buying in, and just it was a great time, man. And I really enjoyed coaching there. But at that point, I think everyone kind of knew, like, oh, Zach's back in Winchester. Yeah. You know, and so that's when, like, at the time, Rob Harris was at Millbrook. You know, so he was reaching out to me about, hey, like, do you want to come back in Millbrook and help out here? At that point in time, I was kind of like, what Kevin had told me in the back of my mind was always sticking with me. Like, hey, I think you can be a head coach before you're 25. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, okay. Now that you told me that, I kind of want to do it. You know, and so I'm thinking, all right, well, what's my best chance to do that? Mm-hmm. And at that point in time, I had made up my mind that there were only 2 coaches in Winchester that I was going to assist, that I think could help get me there. I was either going to help Eric Green or I was going to assist Jason Toten. And it was funny, as I made up my mind about that, Coach Toten actually reached out to me on his own before I had reached out to him. And he had a vacancy with an assistant coach position that had come open, and you know, he interviewed me, and I'll never forget that interview with him and Donald the first time they interviewed me. And the whole thing was about, like, hey, like, you're a Millbrook guy. Like, this is Handley. Like, this is going to be, I said, hey, man, I'm Zach. I ain't a Millbrook guy. I'm not I'm just Zach. And, like, you know, just give me an opportunity for me to show you what I can do with this program. And, you know, I'll be everything that you need to be. And I think because I had been around college programs and other higher level programs, I understood what assistants need to be. And that's, one, loyal. Mm-hmm. Right, it's the assistant coach's job to be loyal to the head coach. You may not agree with what's going on, but you have to be loyal to the head coach. Right, like, you may not. Hey, I don't like that play, but hey, it's not your program. Right, like, find ways to make it better. Number 2 is, like, you got to be able to relate to and coach the college athletes, or coach the athlete. Right, you have to be able to relate to them. You got to be able to coach the athlete and be able to connect with them in a way that motivates them. And that was something that I feel like, you know, Coach Finley being older, Coach Toten being there for a while, being a familiar voice they had, like, I was a newer, fresher, young voice at the time and could really relate to the guys. And so I took that on pretty personal. That was kind of the next stepping stone for me was, all right, if I'm going to be a head coach, I'm going to, you know, Toten's been to 2 state finals and Eric's won 1. So I'm going to go, these are my 2 best chances here, you know. And so the opportunity there was for me on the boys' side. And so I got over with Coach Toten, and man, Handley, once it sucks you in, man, it's everything everyone ever talked about, like, growing up, like it just all made sense to me. Like, it's just a different place. It's a special place. Once you're there, man, it just feels like home, and it's just, you know, it just sucks you in. It's hard to not feel special and feel a part of everything that Handley is once you're there. Like, I knew, like, as soon as I got in, I had no idea how much longer Jason was going to coach. I'd be prepared to assist him for another 10 years or so. But that was another thing kind of shocked us, was after 1 year, it was like, Jason, you know, here I am, and again, it's like another 1 year stint. So I'm like 4 years in a row of 1 year stints. Mm-hmm. So I was 1 year at Roanoke College. I was 1 year at Salem. And I was 1 year at James Wood. And now I'm 1 year assistant at Handley, and it's like, ooh. But I also know this could go a couple different ways. Like, if I got the head coaching job, I would want to hire my staff.
Yeah.
Or like, I would want to hire my guys. So, like, if somebody else gets this job, they may not want to retain me, and I'll respect that, right? Like, and I'll never forget, you know, how like all of that played down, and it was a crazy time because that was all like during COVID too.
Yeah.
Like this was when COVID first started. So we played through that whole season, and COVID first started. Like it was late February maybe that year.
Yeah, February, March.
And so all that stuff's kind of starting to click in, and like we don't even know what our summer is going to look like. But I mean, Coach Pride, when Jason resigned, you know, Coach Prosser, our athletic director, he did not want to wait around to find a head coach. Like it was like, hey, we're going to figure this thing out in 2 weeks.
Yep.
So he posted it. We started doing interviews and all of that. And, you know, I had a panel at like 9 for the interview. And I was like, this is the most Handley thing ever. Like it's, I mean, it's all
judges.
the people you could respect. I mean, it's Randolph Martin, it's Derek Barb, like it's Dan Jones. Like I had a big interview panel, and I was just like, man, this is awesome. Like I hope everybody gets to ask a question. I hope I can impact everybody. But, you know, it was funny when Reed called me into his office. Like it was like, I mean, we're talking 2 days after the interview. Like it was a fast process. And he brought me in, and he just said, sit down. And I'll never do what he did to me to somebody, right? Because it's like my heart was dropping. It was funny. But he calls me in, and he goes, hey, man, look, you know, you're not going to be able to be an assistant coach here, you know, next year, you know. And I was just like, oh, man, they, you know, brought somebody else in, and, you know, they're going to want to bring their own staff for it. And he was like, that's because you're going to be our head coach. And I was just like, man, I'll never forget that, like, that moment, like, when he said that. And, like, first I was like, man, that's a harsh way to deliver the news.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, just rip the Band-Aid off.
he played a good joke on me. But, and then he just went into all the reasons why, and, you know, why they made that decision.
What were those reasons?
Yeah, you know, one that the interview was really strong. Like, the reasons that I sold, like, why I want to be at Handley, I think really appealed to everybody there. Like, one thing that's really attractive to me about Handley is I still feel to this day there's not a program in a state where I can have more impact on lives, right? So you look at our team right now, 2/3 of my kids are single-parent households.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's
a lot.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Like 2/3 of my kids are single-parent households. You know, another thing too is like I'm someone that went and played college and has that experience, and so like I've surrounded myself with, you know, a college staff almost pretty much. Like Trey played in college, Finley played in college at Potomac State and Virginia Union. Trey played at Concord. Like Coach Combs played NAIA, coached NAIA. Like I have almost a whole staff that's filled with guys that made it there, and you know, I was more obsessed with the idea of, hey, what do our guys look like after Handley? Like, even if they don't go play college sports, like, hey, what does life look like after Handley? Mm-hmm. And so those were one of the things that I was really intrigued with, and I really promoted, you know, in talking about getting the job. And then also, you know, just the way I wanted to play the game, how I felt like Handley can succeed, you know. Obviously, we're still trying to accomplish something that's never been done before, and like laying out how that can happen. It's going to take time. It's going to take a lot of effort, and I think what that whole panel saw from me was like the amount of effort he's going to put into this job, we can't get from somebody else. Like we can't. Like there's and you know it's been a lot. It's taken a lot of time and energy and effort, but that's what I said I was going to do, and that's what I'm here to do, right? And so I feel like I've lived up to my word on that, and you know, hopefully we've made a lot of people proud along the way. But yeah, before you know it, I am 23, and I am head coaching at John Handley High School.
Right,
that's tough.
And I'm sure that there were rumblings at the time when I was hired, like, what in the world are these guys doing hiring a 23-year-old? They've had 4 coaches in school history.
Yeah.
You know, and listen, if I can be half as good of a coach as Tommy Dixon and Jason Toten, I'll have done it right. It's like I told people about my dad. If I can be half the man my dad is, I'll have done life right. Yeah. You know, and but So then that team, and this I guess is kind of the end here of, I guess, the coaching history before it leads up kind of to the present, whereas like that team that I inherited, we went 12-13 the year before. Like we were one game under 500.
Right.
But that being said, like it was a group that had a lot of potential, and like that group learned a lot that junior year. And Jason really set me up for success because he played a really tough schedule that junior year and really, really challenged those kids, and really like I inherited Jason's kids. Mm-hmm. And like, you know, like, and he is equally as responsible for the success that we had that next year as I was, like, because he coached those kids for the 3 years prior, like, you know, so he put a lot of time and energy and effort into getting those guys to the standard that they were. And, you know, by the same token though, you know, we were below 500. And so mm-hmm. I didn't know what the next season was going to look like. I just knew that we needed to work our tails off. Yeah. So we didn't know that we were even going to have a season. So we're going 6 days a week. We're working out, like, and we don't even know if we're going to have a season. So it's like, I was impressed with how those guys were still staying motivated, because it's like, you don't even know if you're going to have a season, and this coach is working you out 6 days a week. You know, it's like some of them are probably asking, I mean, it's 16, 17, 18-year-old kids, like, what for? You know? And then before you know it, city council votes that, you know, school board votes that we're going to have a season. And I'm like, all right, well, here we go. And they condensed the schedule. They condensed it because they had to get everything in a short amount of time. And long story short, before you know it, we're 11-0, and we're playing in the state final game at John Handley High School. Mm-hmm. And it was just bang, bang, bang so fast. But what was super special about that group, and I don't know if I'll ever get it back. I hope I never get it back, because I hope our society's never in a
have that type of
has a pandemic again where the circumstances and things are the same. But for 2.5 months, it was just us and the kids. That's it. It was us, the kids. There were no fans, no spectators. Like, parents had to watch from home. Like, it was almost like us against the world, mm-hmm. right? It was just us and those kids for 2.5 months. And I've never been, you know, more proud of that group of kids for everything they had to deal with and get through that year. Like, a lot of people don't know, like, just to start a practice, I mean, we were taking temperatures. We were documenting, like, hey, we had to go questionnaires, like, hey, how are you feeling sick today? How are you feeling? Like, I mean, there was so much admin work that even went in before a practice, right? And, like, you're taking into account everybody's health every single day, every single moment. Like, there was so much that went into that whole season and that whole year, but it was special. So, yeah, it was funny. It was like, you probably had a lot of people like, what in the world are we doing hiring this guy? And then it's 6 months later, you know, they're at the Alamo watching the state finals at John Handley High School, right? You know, because they couldn't even be at the game. But, you know, obviously that game has haunted me for a long time to this day. You know, we were up 7.5. It seems like every Handley kind of state final trip has had a similar type of story.
Some type of wildness that happened.
Yeah, right. But I've kind of come to the conclusion that it wasn't meant to happen because no one could be there to see it. Like, I can't explain to you why, you know, we got our 3 shooters go 0 for 15 for the game. Like, they didn't do that all year. Like, you know, like, I can't explain that. Like, I can't. It just, you know, the time will come when the time's meant to be. And
sure.
So that's kind of how I've made peace with it. Like, is that really how we wanted it to happen, when no one could be there to see it? You know?
Yeah, the first one ever.
Because we all know if Handley goes to VCU, the whole town's going to be down there.
Yeah.
You know, so, but, yeah, it was fast and it was crazy. And here we go. Now I'm entering year 5.
It's crazy to see from there. And then when I heard, just personally, I was like, it was like, yeah, Toten, he resigned. He's going up to Nova. And it's like, they got Zach. I was like, Zach who? It's like, from Millbrook. I was like, Zach from Millbrook? That don't make sense. Like, how do we get Zach?
Yeah, I'll be candid with you. I was like, why? Why the fuck? But I think,
I think everybody's kind of the same way.
Right. And I think that's where your backstory comes into play, right? Because not one time after that did anyone truly know why, right? I think the experience of you going through the coaching has shown that. And you never have to justify why you hired someone. At that time, I wish they would have said, okay, listen, this is Zach's plan. This is his experience, because you've had it, right? Yeah. This is why we made that choice. And I think that probably would have boded well during that situation.
Yeah. But then 6 months later, we're in the state championship. So I'm just like, oh, we gained my respect. Hey, do what we got to do. Like, I'm about to say it now. Fast forward to where we're at now.
And it's just, man, it's like, so this is a knock that everybody like. So there's two things that you brought up, I think, that are important. Like, one was like hey, the Handley, the arrogance or the whatever. Like, I mean, I've played on the other side of the rivalry.
Right.
Yeah. Like, I've been at Mobrook where, I mean, when Coach Toten went to, was it 2015, was Cam Jackson, all those guys.
Yeah.
They went 25-2.
Right. Yeah.
The one loss was to us at Mobrook.
Yeah, I was talking to Kyle about that
First quarter was 25. First quarter was like 27-2.
Right. Right.
Because like they hit that point where that, you know, they just rolled in. Like, I mean, we went 6-17 that year. Like, we weren't good, but like, and this is part of what I've tried to explain to my guys. Like, yo, man, Handley, you are circled on everybody's schedule.
No,
Like, a county team is never going to lay down for you. It doesn't matter what talent they have.
Yeah.
Like, the three games that worry me more than any game on our schedule every year is James Woods, Sharanda, and Mobrook. Just because like they're going to come and get after you. And like, I've created an environment where like our guys are focused on the state level. So it's like, it's almost like, do they overlook that, or do they not think about it as much or whatever? And that's growth on our part too, though, because I kind of feel like in Winchester, everybody's obsessed with being the best in Winchester. It's like, who cares about that? Right. This is small. Like, we want to be, like, we want to compete. We want to be known all across the state. Yeah. Like, we don't want to just be the best in Winchester. Like, what bragging rights are those?
Right.
So it's kind of like but that's kind of a double-edged sword, right? It's like, hey, you also want to understand that they're taking this rivalry as serious as possible. And like, you're circled on their schedule. They could go 6-17 or 7-15, but as long as they beat you,
they won a season.
They won a season.
Yeah.
Right.
But they have different goals than us, right? So that's the important thing to consider. But one of the things that I've really, like, I talked earlier about the details, and one of the things I've really tried to hit home, like, ever since I've been at Handley, is like, one of the pillars of my program is humility. Humility and like understanding, like, so one of the quotes up in our locker, like, we have 5 quotes up in our locker room, and these are like the pillars. So like, what a lot of coaches will do is they'll put like, hey, you know, teamwork, trust, they put words of, I use quotes, right? Because to me, quotes deliver a more powerful message than just words. And one of the quotes is like, winners know why they win, losers don't know why they lose. It's Mick Cronin from UCLA. He's like one of the hardest nosed coaches in college basketball. Yeah. And that it's just like, hey, winners understand all of the things that go into winning. Like, we did not just win because we are more talented than them. Like, you won because like we switched the ball screen, and on the tag out, we switched the tag out with a bigger man, and like they couldn't get into their offense, they couldn't get downhill. Like Lightridge, like we played them Friday. We won because they run dribble drive offense to the middle of the floor, and we didn't allow them to get to the middle of the floor. Right. Like, we kept the ball on the side the entire game. Right. So like, you win with all of the details and execution, all those things that go into, and like, that's one of the things that I am most proud of is like, right now we have a core, our varsity GPA is 3.7. Like, we have a player that has 3 Division I offers. He's probably getting a 4th on Sunday, today as we speak. And if you walked up and talked to him, you would have no idea. Right. Like, because he's humble. He leads with humility, right? And so, like, you've got to be able to combine that, right? Like, the pride of being in Handley and what it means and what it feels with the humility of understanding how hard it is to win. And if you can combine those two things, you can really, really be special. Yeah. And one of the things we really pride ourselves on at Handley is being first class. Right. Right? And being first class and leading by example in the way that you do things.
For those who don't know, currently at 9-0, it looks great. Just being a spectator on like out there in the audience, the team looks good. They have that swagger, they have that confidence. Because I think people a lot of time get confidence and cockiness confused. But like, when you put that like Handley Pride and everything on there, like, they look good. Yep. But also, like, how have you adapted to the style of the new generation?
There's kind of 2 parts there. So the first thing I want to address is cockiness and confidence, right? So to me, cockiness is arrogance that comes from a lack of reps, right? Confidence is the ability to believe in yourself from the amount of time and reps that you've put in. Yeah. So like I love how you say, like, well, we look like we have a lot of confidence. Well, they put a lot of time in, and they put a lot of energy, and they put a lot of reps in, right? I mean, we are a year-round program. Yeah. Like, we played 35 games in June. Like and so, our guys professionally strength and speed train it fast. Like we are in the gym every single morning before school.
Yeah.
Shooting.
What time is that?
7:00. So we go 7 to 8. We get done at 8:00. The kids have 20 minutes. I mean, at Handley, it's like the breakfast. It's unbelievable. Like you just walk in and grab a sandwich and you go. Yeah. It's like, it's amazing. So and that got the guys used to getting up early, being on time at school, making sure you're getting something to eat, making sure you already got a good sweat in. So before they even hit their first class, they've accomplished all that, right? Because before, if you didn't do all that, they're going to be rolling in there like 1 minute before the bell, probably at best had some cereal at home. That's it, or maybe didn't even eat anything. So a lot of, and that's been 4 or 5 years compounded where we're getting in there in the morning and getting guys used to that habit. But so they have confidence because of all the time that they've put in. Yeah. But number 2, I think is, it's kind of the question of how do you coach kids today, right? Like kids are drastically different today than they were, even when we were in school, the 3 of us. And, you hear the terms like, oh, are they a player's coach or are they, an old disciplinarian or whatever. And so what I've taken the approach of is like, one thing you have to consider, like when I first took the job, I was 4 years older at the time than like the oldest player on the team. Yeah. Right. So like you would think naturally, could there be some contention there? Like whatever. Like, so how I have always led and how I've always earned respect from my group is just kids are smart enough to know, like, if somebody knows something or if they don't. Like, kids can see through BS. Right. Like, and so I have always led with showing how much knowledge I have about the game. And that has really, like, brought guys in. Like, if you truly want to get better, then you want to learn, right? Yeah. And so guys seeing the knowledge about the game and, like, I remember the first time we're playing somebody. I think our first game my first year was like Kettle Run, and like we're getting ready to play them and whatever, and like every set they run is scouted out, and this is how we're going to guard it, and this is what we're going to do, and this is what they do on all their baseline out of bounds. This is how we're going to guard it. This is what we're going to, and just like the look on guys' faces is like, oh, like, coach puts in a lot of time to this, like that. This makes sense, like, right. And then you go and you win the game because of it. Like they run the play, and you stop it, right, and it's like. I mean, I remember the game, it was a couple weeks ago. One of my buddies, Chris Oates, came to the game, and he was like, you guys were literally screaming, hammer, 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 hammer set, and they still ran it, and they turned the ball over. And it was like, yeah, like that wins. Like, think about how close that game was. Like, what if we didn't have that play scouted out, and they ran it, and they hit a 3 on the backside, right? Like, so I think guys today are going to really respect, like, knowledge. And, like, if they know that you know what you're talking about, then they're going to respect that. If you just come out and they don't know that, or they don't see the knowledge, and you're yelling and screaming at them and demanding things, well, good luck. Yeah. It's just not going to work. So I think the first element to it is like displaying knowledge, showing them that you know what you're talking about, right? It's almost like in the job world, right? Like establish your credibility, right? Like if I'm going to give a presentation to a crowd of adults for work, in the first minute and a half, I need to be able to explain why they should listen to me. Right? Like, hey, I've got this experience, XYZ, my name is blah, blah, blah. What's in this for you? Well, I've done XYZ. This is why you should listen to me. Right? You're almost doing that with kids on a daily basis. Right? And then once you've hit the point where they know that you know, then you've got them reeled in from that aspect. Now, number 2 is they have to know that you actually legitimately care about them. Right? So you can never yell at a kid that you don't have a relationship with yet. No. You cannot do it. You cannot yell at a kid that you don't have a relationship with yet. Now, I mean, Will, Christian, Kyron, Javon, like these current players that I have, I can absolutely rip them to shreds. And they know where it's coming from. It's because, like, you all have told me that you want to play college basketball. And you know that all I'm trying to do is prepare you for that moment, because the last thing I want to see is you go there and come right back home, right? And so, but that relationship has been built over time. Right? Like, so that I think is the key, is like you have to enhance and develop the relationships with the kids before you do anything else. So I think when you combine, hey, display knowledge with established relationship, then you can set your standards. So, but I think those two have to precede the other, right? And so the kids have to understand the why behind everything that you do. Hey, the why is because I care about you, right? And you should listen to me because I know, and you're young and you don't yet, right? And so those are, I think, the keys in coaching kids of today is that, they got to know that you care about them. Especially with one of the things I'm very open with about my guys is like, hey, when I was 19, I was diagnosed with anxiety disorder. Like I'm fully aware of and in tune with like the mental health issues of our time. Like I'm here. Like if you guys ever need me, I'm here. I can talk to you. Like I've been through it. Like I know everything you guys are dealing with. And like our kids right now too, like they feel so much pressure.
Yeah.
Like they feel so much pressure. Like I have to remind them all the time, like, listen, it's Handley. Like we expect to win a state title every year. And we've never done it. Right? Like, but hey, like, that's just who we are. Like we expect and want to be the best. And I say expectations are a privilege. Like to have people expect something of you is a privilege. It means that they think highly of you. But these kids they wear the weight of the world on their shoulders at times. And so you have to kind of be, a bridge there for them. Like I had to tell 2 or 3 of our guys, like we won a game on Friday by like 17. And I had a couple guys just like totally down in the dumps. It's like, hey, it's okay to have a bad game. The best players in the world have bad games. Do you want me to pull up clips of Steph Curry going 1 for 15 from 3? Right? Like the best players in the world have bad games too. Like, so you also have to be able to resonate with and level with and understand what these kids are going through on a daily basis. In today's world, social media and everything, they're constantly filled with and hit with expectations. And you have to recenter that to, hey, my only expectation of you is to give your best effort to me every single day. Everything else we want to accomplish will take care of itself. You just focus on that, and everything else will take care of itself. So those, I think, are the 3 biggest things that factor into coaching kids today. 1, you have to establish knowledge. They have to respect you from a knowledge standpoint. Whatever field you're coaching, whatever you're teaching, right, whatever, they have to know that you know what you're talking about. 2, you have to be able to establish and develop relationships with them. They have to know that you legitimately care about them as a person. And then 3, right, like everything I just said there, you have to, be able to get kids to understand the standard of what you're trying to accomplish, while also you have to understand everything that they're going through on a personal level, and just how, with the level of social media, expectations maybe from a small town, like everything they're dealing with, you have to be able to resonate with, like, they're feeling pressure too, and you have to be able to connect with them on that level.
Millbrook. So obviously being a native there, what is it like still going back into that building and knowing that, you were a part of that too, that program?
That's where, I walked the halls and where I went to and where I played and everything. But it's also like, man, I almost feel like I've been at Handley like the whole time, just because of like I said, like when Handley gets you and it sucks you in, like it becomes a part of you. Right. But I think being on both sides of the rivalry has really helped me in the sense of I can deliver a different perspective to my guys that, they maybe couldn't have before. Like I know what it's like to be on that other side, and like you're waiting for Handley all year. Right. Like that's the game that you want, right? Like gotcha. That's the game that you want to play, and like you're waiting for that all year. So like trying to educate my guys on that, right, so it's kind of a twofold. Like, we've kind of, as a staff, we've elevated this program to try to compete at the state level, be state recognized, right? Like we're playing in live period events in June, North Carolina and Virginia. Like we played John Marshall this summer, Westfield. Like the year before we played Gonzaga, Paul VI. Like we are playing big time basketball. So then they get back home and it's like, they might have a glimpse of thought like, well, why should we still think about this the same? Well, because they have you circled, right? And it's any given night. I've been on the other side of it. I've beaten a 25-2 Handley team. Mm-hmm. Like I've been on the other side of that and stuff. So, I've always taken a lot of pride in whatever side I was on, we've won more. So as a player, senior year we swept it. Junior year we split. So when we came back to Handley after that first one, they took it to us. Yeah, it was like Keyshawn, Will, and then they went really young.
Yeah,
they went really, really young, and they built that team up over the next couple of years. But yeah, Keyshawn and Will Darion were having to lead like a lot of 14-year-olds, at the time, which is always tough. But so yeah, no, I think you just got to go into those with humility and understanding that hey, it prepares you. What I appreciate about it so much is it prepares you for the postseason.
Yes, it does.
Because no matter what talent they have, they're going to give you everything they got. And that's what you're going to get in a regional game. That's what you're going to get in a playoff game. And so that's what I appreciate about the county schools and the rivalries in those games the most is like they're not going to lay down. They're going to give you everything they have. They're hopefully, they're going to have your guys scouted out and try to guard you different ways. And it's going to prepare you.
But I will say outside of the home game you had, midway through so far, they were undefeated like you were at home. Outside of that game being close for 3 quarters, I would say the second hardest contest you've had was that Sharando game.
Yeah.
Up until 3 quarters, and then that fourth quarter just comes. You've brought up your staff numerous times so far. Tell me exactly, individually, what they all bring to the program for you.
Obviously, the longest tenured staff member is Donald Finley. So a lot of people do not know this, but I was unwilling to accept the job if Donald would not come back. As badly as I wanted the job, and I mean I wanted it bad, I was not going to take it if Donald didn't come back. So Donald's funny. He always says, "Hey, I'm talking to you as assistant, or I'm talking to you as father, or I'm talking to you as mayor of Winchester." Right. When he delivers,
he's still saying,
oh yeah, he's the owner. He's the owner of Handley. Donald is one that should go without explanation, right? But in case there's people that listen that don't know, like Donald is, I don't know if there's anyone in Winchester he ain't related to,
right?
But he knows everyone on a personal level and cares about everyone, and he's so integral to the community in Winchester, and he has the ability to say things that I can never say. He has the ability to deliver messages I can never deliver. And what is important for me too is like I never want to lose that pillar of tradition at Handley, right? Like there's a reason we don't have black jerseys, right? Like they would look sick for sure, right? But like
football has that, right?
No,
they don't.
No, right? Like there's a reason there's no lights on the field, right? Like there's there are certain things that like if you take all these things away, is Handley still as special as what we think?
Right.
Like and Donald is really a pillar of tradition, and he can remind you and inform you of all of it, because I didn't go to Handley, right? Like I think I have a really great grasp of Handley Pride now that I've been here, right? But like Donald has been here longer than anyone, so like he's such an important extension of tradition, and like I love him like a father. He was so important to bring back. Donald can say anything to anyone, and he don't care about consequences. So like having that on your staff is incredibly, incredibly important. Especially when I first took the job too, is when I was young, I was 23 at the time, Donald if someone sees Donald in a grocery store, hey, what are we doing there? Donald will say, shut your face.
He defend you.
That's what he says. He says, shut your face, but yeah, Donald he's so important, man. He levels me down when I get too competitive. He knows every kid, every family, every parent. Like he's able to make you coach as best as you can at Handley, because he helps alleviate so many other things that go into coaching in the town, and he's so important. Number 2 is Trey Briscoe. So Trey's been with me since I took the job. Trey and I have a similar passion in the sense of we want to be able to provide kids that want to play at the college level opportunities that we were not given. So one of the things we pride ourselves on is like, hey, the gym's open 24/7. If you want to get in, if a kid is wanting to get in the gym, we have never told a kid no.
Interesting.
Now, if we're getting in the gym, you're not BSing around.
So you're getting in the gym.
Yeah, we're getting in the gym. Like, we're not coming in, turning music on, you're shooting 100 set shots at half speed. Like, if we're getting in the gym, we're going to get in the gym. Like, we're going to work out. But, like, that was something that, like, when we were in high school was, like, tough. And I get it, man. Like, I get that. Like, you know, like, you're a coach, you got a wife at home, kids, like, you already put a full day in there. Maybe you live 20 minutes from school, right? Like, coming back and stuff. But, like, so, I mean, Trey lives a half mile from school. You know, Coach Finley's not too far away either. Like, you know, I'm really not that far. But so, like, we really want to provide our guys with every opportunity that they can to get better. You know, one of the things that held me back when I got to college level was, like, my body was just not ready.
Sure.
Like, for that. And when we were growing up, James was still, like, up and coming. Mm-hmm. Like, he didn't have his facility that he has now. Like, you know, he's got the largest in-house facility within, like, 120 miles. Right. Like, people in Winchester have no idea.
No.
They have no idea, like, how good James is. They have no idea. It still blows my mind how uneducated we are about that. Like, he's running the best professional strength and speed training program within 120 miles. And you think about how close we are to Nova. You think about how close we are to some of these other places. And, like, can you name me a Division I athlete that's come out of this area that's never trained with him?
When you take one, education and pricing, and you put them together and you throw in Winchester, right? Can you ask the average household, do you want to spend this set amount to get your player better when you can go to other parties, spend half the amount and get something similar, right? The uneducated part, because they
for sure they think it's the same, but it's not.
Right, it's not. We know that because we're in this realm, but it's very tough, and I couldn't agree more with you on the fact that people need to realize that if your player truly has aspirations, then the way to go is James, and then to Handley if you can get there.
I think he's the most tenured in Winchester, right? When it comes to, like, the physical training and everything, because like, there's a lot of people here that are doing it, but when it comes to the education side, I think he is the most educational when it comes to that. Like,
it like I said, it's something that I've grown less frustrated with over time, because I'm gonna be honest with you, if Handley boys basketball is training that fast and nobody in the county is, then we'll just keep beating you. We'll just keep beating you. It's fine. You know, but I also want James to succeed. I also want kids from this area to succeed too. So it's like, I've encouraged, you know, other players from other areas to go there. And, you know, a lot of people don't know this, but, like, you know, I've helped a lot of kids from county schools get to college, you know, because they've come to me and, like, hey, it's May of my senior year. I don't have anything. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm like, okay, all right, well, give me 10 minutes. I'll make a phone call. You know, Ryan Lero got him to Randolph, play for Pete Hamilton. Trey Williams. He's playing for my former college coach at Roanoke right now. But I told Trey, hey, I'm not sending you down there if you don't start going fast. Like, these are things that you got to do, you know, to get to the next level. We hosted a open gym workout at Handley one time, and we brought Potomac State down, and it was like 3 or 4 kids from the county schools ended up going to Potomac State. Like, so, like, I'll help any kid that wants to get better. I don't care if you go to Handley, I don't care if you go anywhere, but, like, hey, you need to be willing to listen to, like, these are the things that you need to do so that you back up our word of recommending you, you know, when you go there. And Frisbee is one of the easiest to recommend for kids to do. You know, I mean, it's really, I mean, you look at like Will, for instance, he's deadlifting like 500 pounds, like he's squatting in the high 300s, right? And he's a sophomore. It's like, well, it's because he's been going to fast since he was 3rd, 4th, 5th grade, right? And, like, he understands, like, hey, I'm a 6'3" white boy. I better figure this stuff out if I'm trying to play at the level I'm being recruited at. I mean, I have Purdue calling me once a week. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, Virginia Tech and UVA have been following up on him, like, for a long time. Like, but, like, the question's always going to be like, hey, his mobility, can his body handle the high major level? Can he defend at that level, right? So, like, him and his family have known that, hey, that's always going to be the thing that's, like, the biggest question mark, right? So what have they done since he was in 4th grade? He's been going fast. Right. He's been working on it. He's been getting better at it every, you know. One of the things that they focused on when they went to fast this past summer was his vertical. And, you know, it went up 4.5 inches. Yeah. You know, so, so that's one thing that we try to get as many of our guys to fast as we possibly can. Christian, in just 6 months of going, like, and I've personally paid for a lot of them to go. Like, because I think it's that important. Like, right. So that all that kind of goes back into Trey in a sense and ties into it because, and I love bringing up Frisbee too because he's not on staff, but he's kind of an extension of it, right? You know, so but Trey, who obviously he played at Concord. He is my relationship guy. He is the heart and soul of like being able to get guys motivated, and he has a very close relationship with, especially that specific group that his younger brother is with. You're talking Javon, Kyron, Amari, Christian, Keon, like all these guys, they grew up together. Right. They've been together for a long time, and like Trey's probably given all of them so much time in the gym over the years, but and Trey runs my defense. Mm-hmm. So that was one thing that I gave him. One of the things I reflected on after the summer that I wanted to do a better job of was delegating to my staff in different ways. Like I want them to feel empowered, feel important, and so I've kind of given Trey the defense and said, hey, it's on you, and then that bleeds over to my third, which is Jason Combs, who a lot of people probably may not know, but Jason coached at SVCA in the 90s when they were like really, really, really good. Jason has made a killing throughout his coaching career at winning games that he had no business winning. No business winning.
That's a skill.
Yes. And Jason knows the game at an extremely, extremely high level. Yeah. So we're playing George Wythe. Mm-hmm. And Jason's a volunteer. A lot of people don't know this. He doesn't make a dime. I mean, we lose money coaching anyway, but, he's a volunteer. He was supposed to be heading down to Williamsburg, and they do a Christmas thing every year. And, we're so grateful for his wife letting him come back and coach the game that day. So I think George Wythe cut it to like 8.
Yeah, that was a Saturday game, right?
Yep, Saturday game. And I made a decision. I said, hey, we're going to play stall game for the next 3.5 minutes. Like, we're not running offense. We're going to play stall game. And I gave Jason the board, and I said, I do not care what you draw. I don't care what you draw. The ball goes to Will Braun doing. I don't care what you draw. And he drew 6-7 different inbounds plays. Yeah. And they just and the other coach was my former college assistant. And it was funny. I looked over at Tony. I said, Tony, we're going to trade 2s for 3.5 minutes. Like, my goal was like, hey, I'm not going to let you shoot a 3.
Right.
Because I know he's going to go 100% from the line. Mm-hmm. So if you score a layup on the other end, it doesn't matter. Right. Time just went off the clock. Yeah. And then I've got my guru here that's going to draw up an inbounds play to make sure the ball gets back in to a 96% free throw shooter. So it was like, so that's Jason in terms of like all the special situations and like, because I'm obviously, hey, it's 3 seconds left, sideline out of bounds. I have plays, right? Mm-hmm. And I know plays but like, hey, he might have more experience. Like, hey, I've run that one, but it didn't work. I've run this one did work. And like, he's just a really good guru for stuff like that. He's a major X's and O's guy, but he's another guy too, like, that the guys really, really respect because of knowledge. And like how much energy and effort that he brings every single day, and like
100% all the time.
Yeah, it's intense. Oh, intense. Yeah, he's said like, hey, my goals for being here, helping out the program, I want to develop young men, and I want to help you guys win a state title. Those are his 2 goals. So and then we also have, as we go down to our JV level, then we got Coach Tyrus Thomas, he's the president of Winchester Rising Stars. Tyrus has been our JV coach since I took over. Ideally when I took over, for us to actually be able to like get done what we want to get done in an ideal world, you would start from grades 3 or maybe 2. I would do a skills academy from kindergarten to 2nd grade, nothing but fundamentals from kindergarten to 2nd grade, keep all the kids together. Right. And then those kids are playing with each other from grades 3 through 12. Right. And so at the time when I was, like trying to assemble my staff and stuff, like Tyrus really stuck out because, hey, he's the president of Winchester Rising Stars. Like this is the one AAU program that's been around in our area for the longest amount of time. Yeah. So, hey, if I can get Coach Thomas on board, we can really do this thing where it's like, hey, let's get a team play for Handley, play for Stars, and just keep, and then other kids from the county can play on Stars too, right? But like, just keep the nucleus of kids together, right? As early and as often as you possibly can from grades 2 through, high. But Tyrus has unfortunately dealt with some of the same stuff Frisbee has dealt with, right? Where you start adding in a bunch of different organizations, and then when you've put in, like you said, education, you put in price, and then you start factoring all those other things. Like, then things just kind of get diluted, right? And so that mission has, I mean, we kept this core group together in terms of like, so Trey's coached Javon, right, Amari, Christian, Isaiah, Keon, right? He's had all those guys for 4 or 5 years, and like, well, now they're juniors and we're 9-0, right? So like we know that like this formula can work, and so initially like when I really wanted to get Tyrus on board because I thought that he could be this huge bridge for school ball and club ball in the sense of like, can we create some continuity? And so we've had some teams that have been able to do it and kind of stay together, but we haven't been able to put together the full-blown like second grade through kind of all the way up vision. Because when you look at how did Millbrook win it, right? Like they're the only team that's ever won from this area, right? On the boys' side. Yeah. How did they win it? Well, Eric, Andrew, Calvin, Clayton, all them, they played together from third grade up. Eric coached them in AAU from third grade up. Yeah. Like that team was together forever. So can you create that environment from third, fourth, fifth, all the way up through for everybody? That's kind of big vision, a lot more challenging than it used to be. There's a lot more teams, a lot more factors that go into things, right? But Coach Thomas has been huge in, being a great carryover from school ball to club ball, trying to keep continuity with the kids. It also helps, like, when you know who they're playing for, like I try to stay out of the AAU round, but when you know who they're playing for, you know what they're doing, you can kind of keep tabs on them, kind of things like that. And then Brandon Ambrose is our other assistant. So Brandon actually played at SVCA for Coach Combs. Brandon had a son come through the program. Well, he's had two. He's got a third one on the way, and then a daughter coming who will play volleyball. But Brandon is one of the nicest guys I've ever met. He is able to connect and relate to and have conversations with the athletes that is a really talented skill for him. Mm-hmm. Like he's able to communicate and sell and kind of bring guys back to, where they need to be from a mental headspace, and just super outstanding basketball mind as well. Very, very loyal guy. He's helped coach our freshman team this year as well too. So, having him as a super positive influencer, not going to say a lot of negative things, focus on developing character is, I think, definitely really big at the age group where you're looking at coaching like 14-year-olds, 13, 14, 15-year-olds. So yeah. He's been huge for us as well with all of that stuff.
It goes without saying that coaching demands an immense amount of time, at least, and dedication between not only being with your team, but then the off-the-court activities when you're away from the team. So meeting with your coaching staff, going over film, traveling. I need to know, especially as a married man, how have you dealt with balancing being a head coach, having a job, and still being a husband?
Easiest way and the best way with all of that is obviously having an amazing wife. Like which I have, and I'm extremely fortunate about. And so I will always say that I think that the hardest job that there ever is being a coach's wife. It's very, very hard. And so I'm so fortunate that I have a wife that understands all the demands of coaching. But it's more than just understands. It's that she actually loves and sees the passion for what I'm doing. And she understands the significance of what I'm doing, the significance of what I'm a part of. She's visibly seen the ability to impact lives and change lives. And so, like, it's more than just understanding that, hey, these are all the things that go into it, but she actually legitimately appreciates the why and loves me because of the why. Like, that's the person that she fell in love with, was the person that is this passionate about this and is this passionate about that. So, obviously, that helps a ton. With all of it, but finding routine obviously is important. I think also scheduling time for all of the other stuff is very important. So I typically work during the season. I'm 6 to 2:30 pretty much every day. And then working for the federal government, I have what we call like wellness hours, where we get like 3 hours a week, and so like I'll break that up into like typically 45 minutes a day, try to get my workout in during the day, right? So that's still prioritizing trying to take care of myself and, personal wellness and things like that. And then pretty much right after that is, I'm heading right to the high school. And then once I get to high school, we are, typically try to get there about 2:45, 3. School lets out 3:20. Quick staff meeting before practice. Then we practice, we come back in, right? Quick staff meeting to break out. We typically don't leave until we know exactly as a group what we want to do the next day. And that's kind of the most fresh time to think about it. And then what I like to do after that is, coach is the first one in, last one out. So, then once all that's done, all the players have left, we make sure everything's cleaned up. That's then when I'll go home, and then that's when a lot of the film, the scouting, right, and all those things kind of go into play. So I'll do a lot of that stuff at home while I am with my wife. So at least I'm home and I'm there with her. But it's something you have to be cognizant about. Like, you're physically there, but mentally you're somewhere else. And so you have to really try to schedule and balance that time. And it's something that I continue to learn every day. And I'm fortunate to have, a gracious wife that understands the process and understands that I'm still learning as I go with all of it too. But yeah, it's, I'm very fortunate to have the wife that I do, and it makes everything a heck of a lot easier. But, another thing too, I'll say about coaching and work-life balance and things like that is it is what you put into it. Like, I'm sure coaches out there that it's, 3:30 to 5:30 every day, and that's it. They don't do the film, and they don't do the scouting reports, and they don't do the, individual film breakdowns for players, and they don't do all that stuff. So it is also what you put into it. So I choose to put in the amount of time and energy and effort that I do. And so that's kind of something I also accept. Like, I'm choosing this is what I want to do. And so that kind of helps with the balance as well. Like, it doesn't feel like work. So I think that really, really helps.
Kyle, you should take some notes from that.
This guy, like, I'm a great husband. Call my wife now. Do you have a story of, like, your most profound moment when it comes to a kid that's on and off the court?
We'll use a Handley example. I think really the first life that I thought that I really, really touched and had a direct impact on was Chaz Lattimore. Chaz was one of those players that I immediately saw, and I saw a whirlwind of potential, like a whirlwind of potential for. And so I was, like, immediately drawn to him, and, like, I could tell that, like, I was maybe going to be able to relate to him better and connect with him more at the time than anybody else. And so that was kind of like a personal mission that I kind of set out for. But it was at the beginning of the year. A lot of people don't know, but Chaz was considering not playing at all. And, myself, Coach Toten Finley, we actually met with Chaz and Sherry, and we sat down, and, like, Chaz was going through a lot at the time, but what he was going through really was just, like, self-doubt and just needed somebody to believe in him. And, like, in that meeting was when, like, I really explained to Chaz, like, how much I believe in him. And, like, I told him everything, like, hey, this is what I'm going to do for you. And I'm going to be here every day for you. I'm going to push you. I'm going to challenge you and, like, help get you there to that point where you're not self-doubting and you're living with self-confidence. And, so to me, it was like, hey, this is a kid that played JV as a sophomore. He's coming up as a junior. He's thinking about quitting. And the very next year as a senior, when Chaz graduates, he went from that to first team All-State, like in the blink of an eye. And so, like, that Chaz was the example for me, I think, kind of like the epitome embodiment of, it showed me the impact I can have on a kid at Handley. And it was like the real first example of, like, hey, he was a kid that was, like, thinking about not even playing. Like, he had just moved up just from JV. Like, this is his first varsity experience. He doesn't even know if he even wants to play anymore. And, like, just being with him for a year and a half, he became an all-state player. So, like, what can you do with lives for 4 years? Yeah. What can you do with lives if you get them from 6th grade and up? And so, like, that's what I think is really special about this group that I have now. And I know I've been here for 5 years, but it's really starting to feel like, well, now I'm starting to see what it looks like when Zach is working with the kids from young all the way up, because now it's like, it's Javon, it's Christian, it's Kyron, it's Will, right? It's all these kids I worked with at a really young age growing up, and seeing the kind of impact compounding over a long period of time. And so I use the Chaz example because it kind of was the first, like, moment where I realized you kind of, like, proved it to yourself in a sense. Like, that it can be done. and to this day I have a great relationship with Chaz, and he can, reach out to me at any point in time. And, he had some opportunities to play at the next level, but it ultimately wasn't what he wanted to do. And now he's working and has a job making over $20 an hour. And sometimes, that's all somebody needs to do. Right. Mm-hmm. And so I'm proud of him for how far he came. And I think it was the lessons he learned by continuing to play basketball that has helped set him up for, life after.
That's how I feel about young boy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Your unique philosophy as a coach. So I think every coach has one.
Yep.
Whether they've realized it or not. Describe what principles you prioritize in your philosophy as a coach.
In general, we want to be the hardest working, most prepared, most together team on the floor at all times. And so we try to get competitive advantages by outworking our opponents, right? And that's compounded over an entire year, right? Compounded over 4 years. What these guys on the floor for us right now are experiencing is the kind of compounded, so to speak, interest of all the work they've put in over the years, right? And so number 2 is try to be in the most conditioned team on the floor. Right now we're only playing 7-8 guys at most, but we're getting up and down. We're running in transition, we're running off misses, we're playing at a high level. So that's a competitive advantage that you can have. And number 3, be the most prepared. So don't let them run anything you haven't prepared for, know exactly what they're going to do. Coach Briscoe and I always talk about defense is a heck of a lot easier when you know exactly what the other person is going to do. When you know their strengths, when you know their weaknesses, when you know the play, when you know their tendencies. Hey, when they do put it in their left, they want to cross it right back to their right. Or when it is in their right, they're going to hesitate and go. Or when they get in this formation, this is the play that they run. Well, they're running this play, but what are they trying to get with this play? Right. Well, they're trying to hit the big on the short roll and then spray it out to the shooter, right? So all those things I think go into the preparation, the details. So those are kind of the 3 big, be the hardest working, most conditioned, most prepared. That's my, and that's super vague, right? You could ask some coaches, well, I'm man-to-man, full court, press you, trap you, and then we want to run and gun on offense. That's my philosophy. Well, that's great. Do you have kids that can do that? Mm-hmm. Do you have 13 guys you can confidently play? Right. So it depends. But in general, the 3 battles that I want to win are rebounds, free throws, and turnovers. So that's kind of an extension of my philosophy, right? Be the hardest working, most prepared, most conditioned, and then win the battle of rebounds, turnovers, and free throws. So what I mean by that is if you finish a game with more rebounds than your opponent, you had a higher percentage from the free throw line or made more free throws, and then you had less turnovers than your opponent. If you win all 3 categories, this is a statistical fact in college basketball, you have a 97% chance to win the game. Mm-hmm. So we focus on those 3 categories. Hey, take care of the ball, force other teams to turn it over, right? Rebound the ball, go get second chance opportunities. Don't let them get second chance opportunities. And then get to the foul line, make your free throws, right? So those are the 3 categories that we really try to focus on. But in general, I've run a different offense every year I've been at Handley.
So 5 years, 5 different offenses.
Yep. Now I have some similar concepts. So we'll some continuities we'll use over time. It's hard to be successful with continuities over a long period of time because it is a continuous offense. It's a continuous action. So, they are limiting in that sense. But in general, I've changed it every year to adapt to the players that I've had. Mm-hmm. So it's my job as a coach to put a system together that best fits my players, not make my players fit to a system that I want to run because it's easier for me as a coach. We've seen that, right? So it's hard to be successful that way. So, but that's the fun part to me, right? This group, we can run this with this guy, we can run this with these guys. We definitely can't do that,
right?
And so that's the fun part. That's the challenge as a coach is figuring out what's best for the group. And it's so funny, all the things. Well, you can't try to do this at Handley, or you can't try to do that, or it's all the stereotypes I heard going into the job is okay, it's fine. We're going to put time in and we're going to work at it and we're going to do it. I remember when I first took it, everyone used to say if you just want to beat Handley, just run 2-3 zone. Mm. I dare you to run 2-3 zone against us. Mm-hmm.
When has Handley not been able to shoot?
Yeah, it's funny. It's what people have always said. Well, just zone them. If you zone us, then it's going to be a long night. You know, it's going to be a long night for you because we got 4 guys on the perimeter that are shooting over 40% from three. So and we got 1 guy shooting 56. So,
right.
you know, but that's because we put a lot of time into it. We put a lot of effort into it, right? It's like, you know, people just tell me like, well, you know, you're going to have to really simplify things down. You're not going to be able to run, you know, the X's and O's. We have 28 plays in right now, and every single kid on the team knows them. And those are just set plays for dead balls. So offense is 3 categories to me: off makes, off misses, dead ball sets. Yeah. That's 28 sets just for dead balls, right? So good luck preparing your team for 28 sets, right? So like it, you know, and all of our guys know those sets. So it's like, so you're telling me that they can't run advanced concepts and they don't know. It's like, right. I believe in our guys and they can do it. And so, yeah, so that's kind of, I guess, an offensive philosophy for me that kind of bleeds into that, is that how do we want to play off makes, how do we want to play off misses, and how do we want to, you know, play off dead ball. So if it's a dead ball after timeout, ball went out of bounds, whatever, the defense is already set.
Right.
So, like, if you're coming down, you're trying to run a motion or you're trying to run, it's going to take you 15, 20 seconds to even get them moving to get what you want. So that's the best time in the game to, like, run something specifically organized to get some specific type of shot. And we've had a lot of success with that. So we are, right now in the season, we're averaging 1.9 points per possession on dead ball sets. That would lead the NCAA.
Yes, it would.
Like, that's really high. Really, really high. So now where we need to grow is off misses and off makes. So that's kind of where we need to go. Off makes, that's when we'll try to go to like some sort of motion or continuity. We were doing a lot of quick hitters to start the season, but our depth has kind of shrinked. You know, we've got Isaiah Baxter. It's going to be out for like 6 weeks. Isaac Carter, he had a cartilage issue with his knee. He has surgery. He's out pretty much for the season. So we've, you know, Jay Sean Offu has been dealing with some Achilles stuff, and he's a big football guy. So we've kind of had to slow down the quick hitter stuff because it's like, all right, well, we're only playing 7 guys, so we don't want to play 1 million possessions every game, or like, you know, we might get fatigued. So you've got to adapt and change to the personnel and the climates and the situations that you're dealing with. So, but yeah, so that's kind of how I play offense. And then defensively, it's, you know, we're going to look at what you do, and then we're going to try to take away what you do best. You know, it's really a simple concept, kind of Bill Belichick almost. Your best player is going to have a hard night, and we're going to try to take away what you do most, right. You know, what you do best. So that changes based on opponents. You know, we have a lot of different defenses that will run, but in general, from a defensive perspective, I'm man-to-man, keep the ball out of the middle, force the baseline. Which is what 95% of college basketball teams are going to run. And now that Tony Bennett's not at UVA anymore, it might be 100%. So right. I don't know how many programs are running pack line anymore, right. But yeah. So I believe in forcing the ball to the baseline because you get the sideline and the baseline as an extra defender. Most offenses are geared towards getting the ball to the middle of the floor anyway. Right. So we want to play the game on the side of the floor, keep it on the side of the floor, and force tough contested shots, preferably from 2. Preferably from mid-range, not from 3. Very analytical in our approach. Very analytical in our approach.
That makes sense.
So, yeah, I mean, when you look at, like, we always try to look at, like, hey, what are the paths to victory? What are the paths to defeat for us? You know, that's kind of what we try to do defensively is, hey, what are they really good at? What are they trying to do? Who's their best player? We're going to put our best guy on them, try to make their life as hard as possible. And then defensively, we're going to keep the ball in the middle of the floor, but then we're going to try to alter what they do best. If they want to shoot 3s, we're going to make them shoot 2s. If they want to shoot 2s, we're going to make them shoot 3s. You know, and everything's got to be contested, though. It's just varsity basketball. You know, right. You can't let things just fly up uncontested.
Game plan of running someone off the line usually means that you have to have an immense trust in that backside help, especially guys like Kyron. Yep. What kind of motivation or insight or talk do you have with guys like that, knowing a game plan like that is set in place?
It's funny. So Trey and Jason are in charge of my defense. Mm-hmm. And so we've always joked about and then I'll run the offense. So we have this number that we always kind of go back and forth on. Sure. At the beginning of the year, Jason asked me, hey, what do you think we're going to average points per game wise? I was like, well, that depends. I think these games, it's
like 60s.
Yeah. So I think we'll end up in the high 70s. Now I'll just tell you, we had 71 points at half on Brentsville.
Yeah,
we ran the clock the whole second half. We could have. We're first class, man. We're not going to run up the score on somebody. So I think we ended up with 90 points or something in that game.
Yeah.
So we were on pace for 140. Like it's so. When I look at it in grand scheme of things from a competitive perspective, like I think we'll end up low 70s, maybe high 70s when the season goes on as a whole. And so I look at my defensive coaches and I say, like, I mean, can you hold them under 70? You know, like that's and that's kind of been the running joke. But then we had a game the other night, and you know, we only scored like 55,
right.
But we held them under, you know, and so we're trying to figure out what that number is. Like, hey, like because we're trying to play cohesive. So if I can tell my defensive coaches, hey, I can get you to 61 tonight, can you hold them to 60? Right? Like, so we kind of work together with that aspect. But yeah, that. You know, you have to motivate guys on defensive assignments depending on what it is. So someone's going to be on ball, someone's going to be off ball, someone's going to have to cover over, someone's going to have to cover down, right? All of those things are important. Like if we're, you know, let's say we're switching a ball screen and we got Javon or Dontrell out there, right? They're both probably, you know, under 5'9", right? So if we're switching a ball screen and they got a big and you get rolled onto that big, like you got to front the post like your life's dependent on it. Right. But then what we'll try to do is tag it out from the backside if we have enough time. So if we switch the ball screen and then, you know, Javon or Dontrell are fronting the post and then Kyron sitting in the hole, well then as they hit the roll, they're trying to run the offense the other way, tag it out. So Kyron goes switch back, Javon get over and try to find the other guard. So like that, but that takes a lot of communication.
Yeah, it does.
Takes a cohesive group, takes an educated group. You know, and that's something that these guys are growing towards every single day, which I'm really proud of. But yeah, and I think also convincing guys too that like defense can create offense.
Yes, it can.
Like I mean, we got a guy right now averaging 8 points a game purely off defense, creating offense for him, and Amari Brown, just flying around everywhere, getting his hand on every 50-50 ball, every offensive rebound, everything possible, right? So and I think if we get Christian, Kyron, Amari, and then Isaiah, hopefully when he comes back, committed to that, like on the offensive glass, like it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough. And then another concept that I want to do, which is really hard to do, but this kind of bleeds into my philosophy. But and this kind of comes from Houston and Coach Sampson, but is rebound a third of our misses, which is really really hard to do. But I do it only sending 2 to the glass.
It's tough.
So they send 4. So we try to do it only sending 2. It is tough.
It's tough.
But when I look at Christian Gingers and Kyron Oglesby, I believe they can do it. You take one side, you take the other. Go get it. But the reason I try to do that is because I'm looking at the schedule as a whole. And I'm looking at, okay, Millbrook's going to try to run and gun, and they're going to try to leak out and get open threes. So I need 3 guys back. Yeah. Okay, if we get to a regional final game, it's going to be either EC Glass or Geo Danville. They're going to run and gun. Yeah. If we get to a state semi, it's going to be Churchland, Denby, Hampton, or Varina, right? Like if you get to I would like to be able to send 4 guys to the glass, but long term, that's not how we're going to be able to play, right? So like right now, we've even played some zones in games when we're up, specifically just to practice it for future opponents, right? So, but that's another way that I like to play is try to rebound a third of our misses, which is going to produce a high scoring offense. You're either scoring or you're getting a second chance on 1/3 of the missed shots that you have. Right. So that's another key we focus on. And I'm trying to do it by only sending 2 to the glass, which is unheard of, but we're getting there.
You've had a pretty unique path to becoming head coach. You beat your goal. You were given it an opportunity. What are for the young coaches up and coming, what are some advice that you'd like to give them?
Yeah, absorb and consume knowledge at every possible avenue that you could find. So one of the things that really, really set me up for success was my first coach, Paige Moore, when I was a freshman in college. He was president of the NABC at the time, which is the National Association of Basketball Coaches. On his board, I mean, he's the president. On his board, Don Calipari, right, Rick Pitino, Mike Krzyzewski, like Mick Cronin. I mean, like it's the real deal. And he knew I wanted to get into coaching, so he kind of brought me on as like an executive assistant. And so, I pretty much had access to an Excel sheet that had every coach's name in the country, every contact, everything. And so like I pursued every avenue to shake a hand, pursued every avenue to ask an opinion, like pursued every avenue possible to consume knowledge and grow relationships. And coaching is something that like it evolves with the time. So the more people that you know, the more people that you talk to about the game, the more you're trying to grow your knowledge constantly, then the better you're going to become as a coach. You know, like it's so cool to see, like, you watch certain programs and, like, I mean, I remember going to UVA practice this fall. I actually took my wife down there. So my wife went to UVA when they won the national championship. And they just brought Kyle Guy back on staff this year. And so, like, I was like, all right, let's go down. Like, she'd never met Tony Bennett. And, like, so I hit up, Jay Williford, and I hit up my guy Sanchez, and we went down and watched practice. This was before Tony retired and stuff too, but, like, they were running totally different offensive stuff than when they won the national title. Well, it's like, well, why would you change what worked when you won the national title? Well, the game's evolving.
Right.
Like, you know, so it's like you can't just become good at, like, just one thing and expect that one thing to last forever. Like, you have to continue to learn and continue to grow. So my advice for young coaches would be that ego is the enemy. And never think that you know everything, and constantly try ways to consume knowledge. Like, I am daily trying to consume knowledge, daily trying to grow. I mean, I texted a couple of Division I assistants the other day because I just felt like we haven't had good practices. I'm like, hey, like, were you ever 8-0, 9-0 and had bad practice? What'd you do to change it, right? Like, I'm always trying to learn and grow and to get better, and that's my advice for young assistants is, like, there's an opportunity, take it. Right, young coaches, opportunity, take it. And give it your all 100%, and, like, build your resume as much as you possibly can. Like, there's nothing that can't add to your resume, you know, and just you got to be willing to work and be willing to grind. And the one thing that you can control over any other circumstance is how hard you work and your ability to outwork somebody else. And so that was something that I really prided myself on at a young age, was, like, I can't control that he's been here longer. Right, I can't control that he has more years of experience, but could I make an argument that my years and what I put into my time is worth more than any number of time, if that makes sense? Like, my coach used to always tell me, it's not about the time, it's about what you put into it. Right. And so I would, like, you know, when I was in interviews, I was saying, hey, I can't come into you here saying I got 40 years of experience. What I can tell you is, look at this 1 year of experience and look what we did in that year. Right, look what we did there. So multiply that by 20 years of me being here, and what does that look like for you? Right,
impact,
like, you can't judge me on opportunities I haven't had the ability to take. Judge me on what I have done with what I have been presented with. And so I think that's big for assistants too, or young coaches, is, like, be able to sell on what you have done, but do things so that you have things to talk about.
As cliche as it sounds, it comes down to the core fundamental principle of quality over quantity. Yeah. Always.
Yes, 100%.
Huge thing for me, the community aspect of it, which you've touched on, saying that, you know, Trey tends to handle that. How important has that been, or is that going to be for you and your team?
It's huge. So I really think the only way that we ever get done what we want to get done is by not just having a fully team together, you know, united together, but having an entire town. Yeah. Like, you know, just getting behind, and, you know, this is something I probably should touch on, because I think at some point it's kind of somewhat of an elephant in the room, right? It's like, well, I didn't go to Handley, so do I know what Handley Pride means? You know, because a lot of people have questioned that about me. Like, you know, since I didn't go there, do I know what it means? Well, I think it means a little bit of something different to everybody. But to me, Handley Pride is an unwavering support, love, right, and embrace for the people of Handley, what Handley's doing, and everything about Handley, right? It's this unwavering support that no matter what happens, we're here for you, and we're rooting for you, right? And so that I think if you can take that, you can multiply that by everyone and just support, right? Don't critique, don't question, just get behind the guys, right? Like, you know, one thing that always challenges me is, like, we're talking about 15, 16, 17-year-olds, like, and, you know, they're out there playing, and, like, you hear things from the stands, like, yelling at a kid that just had a turnover, or, like, what did he do? It's like, that's a kid, right? You know, like, it's, you know, hey, that's not what Handley Pride is. Handley Pride's an unwavering support. Like, the response is like, hey, go get the next one. Here we go. You know, like, and so I think in order for us to be able to go as far as we want to go, like we've got to just have like almost like this whole everyone united and everyone kind of behind everything. So like the community is super important with that, right? Like, so I think it's important for us to be involved in community and do things, right? And like one of the things I brought back was the alumni game. Like I think that's super important, like to get our old.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, well, COVID kind of changed a lot of stuff, right? Like we had this big 2-year gap where stuff like fell apart, right? Stuff just didn't happen because like it couldn't. And so like if you didn't put time and energy into bringing things back, then they just kind of fell into the abyss. So we redid the alumni game last year, right? Bring alumni back and like, I want alumni to come back and see our current guys and give them advice and, rally behind them and watch them wherever they go. And, I think just involving the community and getting the community invested in, believing in the kids, supporting the kids, I think is more important than anything ever. But I think more than anything, these current kids need more support than they need expectations, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Like just supporting them, just telling them that like, hey, we're here for you. Like we got your back. Like we believe in you, more than just like they hear all the time, like, man, y'all, hey, state or nothing. State or nothing. It's like, we ain't never won it before. What do you mean state or nothing? Like you got to build it up. You got to build it up to get there. And so I think that's been huge for our guys when people from the community just really just support them. And then when we get out and we do things in the community and we become involved, it lets people see all the things we're doing from other perspectives outside of basketball. And, what I'm most proud of right now is our academic culture and our standards. Like we have a 3.7 GPA.
It's amazing.
Which is just outstanding. Like I'm really, really proud of our guys. So I think we've created an environment and a culture, a team program that people can be proud of and support from a lot of different avenues, just from character of young men, academic excellence, right? Performance on the court, setting themselves up for the future. So I just want everyone to just rally behind them and just support them and just be there for them.
Actually, I was going to say something personally for me when it comes to that. Just like playing for Dixon, who was there for 36,000 years, and then Toten, shortly, like having such an impact when I was a player when it comes to it, and like having a Handley Pride. Like it's good to see like what they did and that everything they said, that it just like it's the same exact thing that you're doing, but just new generation.
Yeah.
But it's still the same concept. Like it's still the same thing that's going on. And then like, cause like that's what Dixon really instilled in us. Like I still talk to him to this day, super close to him. We're men at the end of the day. Like we play ball, like that's fun. That's what we're doing. But at the end of the day, like basketball ends, but like you're not good on the court if you don't got good grades. If you're not doing stuff right outside, like I don't care if we lose and you're the star player, like you're doing what we need to do.
Yes. And
hold them to the standard. So like I really appreciate that. Like I said earlier, I was questionable at the beginning, but like if anybody questions, that's just because they're pure hater. Like pure hater, pure just like don't understand what you got going on. Like, and I really appreciate everything that you got going on.
I appreciate it. You had no idea that I'd be the youngest coach in the history of VHSL, lead a team to a state final.
Never, never.
But do it while we're wearing masks in a global pandemic.
It's literally, and then
it was crazy.
Yeah, stay consistent. Like
I didn't either. All I knew I was just going to work my tail off. Exactly. All I knew is that like, hey, Handley deserves a coach that's going to give it everything they got, every single thing that they got, right? And I think that when both Coach Dixon and Coach Toten, like that's part of like Handley Pride in our tradition, right? Like is once they realized that, hey, that they were no longer able to do that. Like they love Handley so much that they wanted to give it to somebody that could. Right, like that's how much they love Handley, right? Like when, Coach Dixon, like we say, did it for so long, right? And Coach Toten was also there for 19 seasons total. Like it wasn't like, and Toten went to 2 state finals in 7 years. Like that's really hard to do. Yeah. So I think that's one of the things that I didn't realize the success we were going to have as early as we did, and I didn't realize any of those things. I just knew like, hey, this is how I'm going to do it, and it's going to be head down, chest up, heart out, and just give it everything I got. But no, you had the right to question. Everybody questioned. But that's like, if that shows you, I think anything about me is that hopefully that our kids can become an embodiment of that in the sense of like pressure is a privilege.
Yeah.
And I took that challenge head on. And so that's something our kids are going to need to do too, right? Like, because we know the expectations aren't going anywhere. Like, it's just not. It's just the way we are, right? And like, it's what we all want. We know the elephant in the room. It's hanging there. It's sitting there, right? It's never been done. And, you know, guys on my staff, our staff have been there too, so we've tasted it, you know, and we know what it's like. So understanding that pressure is a privilege and attacking challenges head on instead of quitting and folding, and, you know, I think are important characteristics for us to have if we want to be successful, one, with any of our team goals, but two in life. You know, I respected and understood that people had those opinions. Yeah. You know, I totally understood that. I had other schools in the area tell me I was too young. You know, I've been there. You know, and I understood that and respected that. You know, they just felt that I was too young to take a job at the time. But, you know, this school believed in me, and you know, I think it's worked out for us, and we're continuing to grow and we're continuing to get better. But more than anything, like I said, I'm proud of all the off the court stuff for our guys right now than a lot of the on the court stuff. But we're still trying to get after it on the court too.